I won't get into the whole story, it would take too long, but as I went through life, I've done everything from taking drugs to drinking enormous amounts of alcohol, especially in the 60s. I've done so many hallucinogenics, I could have probably made Timothy Leary look like a candy ass. And when I look at all those things, I probably needed to do all those things to understand that I really couldn't block reality out. That no matter what I did to try to find truth, whether it be through artificial means or through exterior means, and what I mean by that, by going and finding many different teachers, that no matter what I learned, inevitably I had to take the journey inside of myself. And that's a long process. For me, one of my greatest tools was when I became a healer. It's easy to walk around and proclaim that you live in the now. I know so many people that are in the metaphysical that claim that. The reality is, it takes many, many years of being brutally honest with oneself to discover, no, we do not live in the now. I look at the body language of people when they're healing, and I can see they're not there. They're wondering what their children are thinking. They're wondering what they're going to have for dinner. They're wondering about last night's date. They're worried about what the person on the table thinks of them. When I have somebody on this table, my heart is there. My intent is there. Like anyone else, I know that my mind will veer. I don't kid myself about that. I know that, geez, continuously bringing myself back into the focus. I do sacred geometry. Injecting a cube into somebody, almost everyone I know that claims they do sacred geometry would tell you that they put that cube in somebody just like it's nothing. Excuse me, it is an achievement to achieve that. Somebody might be able to perceive a cube for a half a second. Try to hold that cube in perfection, looking like Mercedes cut it on one of its finest lathes with perfection. This is not something somebody can master easily. And then move that up to a dodecahedron and put a cube inside of that and a cube inside of that and a cube inside of that, all moving in different directions, or rotations, I should say. Even to angle a single beam of energy in a very specific line to intersect with another line is sacred geometry. These are not easy things to master, and they can only be done with total dedication, and they can only be done with focus. I can't be thinking about the dinner I'm cooking tonight. I can't be thinking of the next client that's going to walk through the door. I can't be thinking about my personal things, and I certainly cannot be judging that person that's on the table. That person has come for healing. It is not for me to probe that person. It's none of my business unless it is in direct relationship to their affliction. My purpose is to conduct the healing, what needs to be done. It is not an easy thing to master, not judging the person. It's not an easy thing to focus a geometry and to keep it in a specific point in the body or inside of a specific part of an organ and give it the proper rotation and still be able to maintain its geometry. As one works toward achieving these things, one starts truly understanding the difficulty of existing in the now. Because only through existing in the now can these things be achieved. Okay? As one works toward the mastery of these things, one without, it's a side effect, you can't avoid it. You fall in the truth within yourself. And if you're not prepared for it, it will take you right off the edge. I do not believe that a healer can be created through waving a wand or conducting an initiation on a person. This art form here is known as Zenith. It was channeled some 23 years ago. It did not become very popular. It appears that, and I'm of the first 42 master teachers, it's a bit more complex than most healing arts. And after Wilshire, the gentleman that channeled it, passed, the name of it was changed. And it started moving, and they started changing the whole thing. I did not change any of this. It is still the same as it was when it was first channeled. I always remember what Wilshire used to say, that it was not yet an art form, that he was the channel, and it was for us to create an art form from it, to understand, in other words, to understand it. The people that bought the rights to it chose to make it so that anyone could do it, because actually to do this correctly, you have to be able to bend your body into contortions to get some of these points done at the same time. It's not an easy art form to really do if it's to be bought. Now, people just point the sheets at you. It doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. It took me 20 years to get this, to begin to start to understand how it functions. And I've done this almost every day of my life since then. Becoming a healer is a journey that takes you deeper and deeper into truths. And it's very difficult because as it takes you deeper and deeper into truths within oneself, it also takes you further and further away from the collective consciousness. Almost to the point of being completely, what it does, it takes you to the point of being untethered from the rest. It's almost as though you feel as though you have been set adrift. But as well, if one has faith and one continues the journey, one then moves into the greater aspect of the global consciousness in the universal consciousness. And you no longer feel untethered. But your journey never ceases. It's not about wearing the patch. If it was about wearing the patch, I'm dynamic enough to get up on stage and bring together a big following and have them all just be excited about me. I could easily do that. Instead, I have them throwing rocks at me. You know, I don't think I'm ever going to stop that. My quest is to understand the truth of everything. And I won't be satisfied with people believing that in me. I have to see it, and I have had glimpses. The more work I do, the more I must focus on existing in the now. And through that, as I touch on moments of the absolute now, my mind and my heart opens into the infinite, even if it's only for a millisecond at a time. But I've had so many of those episodes that now it's becoming very common. And I have confidence that I will continue to unfold, and that there will be more and more people healed. It's not about, for me, it's not about the patch. It's not about following the group. It's about actually healing someone. Did it answer any?
Yes, it did. What about spiritual teachers who say that they're completely in the now all the time?
What about them?
Are they?
I
What
see.
would it feel like to be in the now all the time?
Well, I've had many Omni experiences, or experiences where my mind has opened into the infinite over the years. I had one full-blown Omni experience, or Godhead experience, or a Christian would say the blind was lifted, for a full 45 minutes. Now you have to understand that if you were to ever experience something like this, 1 millisecond will change your life forever, and you will never forget that millisecond. It's seared into every cell of your being. Okay? And when you have that millisecond, you will feel as that it is impossible for there ever to be a greater experience that a human being could achieve in that millisecond. Well, if that's the case, imagine what a full 45 minutes in that state would be like. Okay? The last experience I had on that I had was a full 45 minutes, and that was, oh God, 22, 23 years ago. And it's still unfolding in me. There isn't a day that has passed. I don't think there's a moment when I'm alone that I don't think about it. To exist in the now, that would mean some jerk like me couldn't come along and go boo and get you upset. Okay? To exist in the now, not 1 millisecond into the future, not 1 millisecond in the past. Do you know any teachers that exist in that state of existence? Of course you don't. It's just like you may have people, and all of you out there who know people that are in the metaphysical or that use the word spiritual path, that walk around and making statements such as us spiritual people who are enlightened must stick together. Or us more evolved spiritually, the enlightened,